Alright guys, welcome to my Friday the 13th Q&A. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions for this Q&A, and as always, if you'd like to be part of the next Q&A, please hit the link in the description below. That'll allow you to access my Patreon. That's all the Q&As and episode reviews and theatrical movie reviews are on Patreon. So if you guys want to check those out, just hit the link below and just do all that. Just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, and be part of the next Q&A, which I haven't announced yet. I'm kind of debating what the next one should be. I got a good idea, but I might change last minute. It is going to be scary themed. Like, it is going to be horror adjacent or horror themed, because as we all know, September is just Halloween part 2. Halloween part 1. It's spooky season part 1. Anyway, so yes, since it is Jason's day, it's Friday the 13th. We're going to be doing this Friday the 13th Q&A. Starting off with David Deister, who asks, what would a Blumhouse Friday the 13th reboot look like? It's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? It really could be one thing or the other, if I'm being honest. It could easily be a story that could be really good. I think Blumhouse still can get some bangers out, but I really do feel like between what they've done with legacy movies, with Halloween Ends, and then Exorcist Believer, and a few other films here and there. Speak No Evil has been getting rave reviews, but I am still like, Blumhouse, you have yet to really turn me back. And again, I do have hope for Wolfman, but it's not so much Blumhouse as it is I have faith in Leigh Whannell, even though that Wolfman design was not great. Also, yes, I am wearing a Ghostface shirt for Friday the 13th. The irony is not lost on me. But getting back to, I think the reboot would be more, it'd be something akin to the first, I don't think it would be all-out gory. I think they'd try to recapture the magic of Halloween 2018, where it would be more a kind of stoic, kind of darker film. I really do feel like they would really try to play it more for something more atmospheric, something along those lines. Now, would they succeed or not? I don't know. Second question. If there was a slasher cinematic universe, what phase would Jason Voorhees be introduced in? If there was a slasher cinematic universe, I think it would be part 1. I really do think phase 1, because Jason's one of the he's one of the old guards, so you'd have to do Jason early. I wouldn't say that'd be the first movie, but maybe, definitely somewhere in phase 1. Yeah. Third question. What would a Friday the 13th and Gravity Falls crossover look like? I think, I guess the best way to describe it is maybe Wendy and her friends go to New Jersey for a summer, for a spring break kind of thing, and they break into Camp Crystal Lake, and hilarity ensues. And by hilarity, I mean endless violence. So thank you for those questions, David. Moving on now to Tom Hibbert, who asks, unlike Michael Myers, do you find it fascinating that Jason Voorhees still has a bit of compassion in him, especially in a scene in Part 6 where he refused to kill the children, in which I heard the idea came from Jason's actor, Kane Hodder. There is a bit of compassion to him, but I think it's more aimed towards, I think it is aimed more at, hey, I'm just raging at everything, and only children are kind of innocent to Jason. Although, to be fair, I have heard that, one of the reasons, it was more of, Kane Hodder just didn't want to kill kids, and the other thing is that, I think, back then, kid killing in American films was not there yet in the 80s. Although it did happen, it wasn't egregious. Plus, I think Jason can have some minor sympathy here and there. Anyway, second question. Although we do love Friday the 13th, aren't you sort of glad that we haven't gotten a sequel in a while, considering the most recent sequels to horror movies have been a mixed bag, from pretty good to Alien Romulus to pretty bad ones like Strangers Chapter 1? Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's been a blessing and a curse. We still have the Crystal Lake prequel coming out at some point, so We don't know how to determine that. I think they got the right I think they got a good person to follow to carry that after the creator of Hannibal left. The person, I'm sorry, I gotta get a drink real fast. So, I do really think that the it's been both a blessing and a curse because goddamn chair. So professional on this channel, I swear. I think it's been both a blessing and a curse for the franchise because again, it hasn't really and on the other end of that spectrum, there aren't a lot of great Jason movies. Like, let's be real, like the Friday the 13th franchise knows what it is. So there are some really bad movies, and it would take something egregious to make it to beat, I don't know, Jason Goes to Hell or Jason Takes Manhattan is the worst Friday the 13th movie, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I think like it just depends on the right writer and director. Third question. Have you considered a Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th taking place in the same universe, or do you consider Friday vs. Jason non-canon to either? I guess, like, I've kind of seen it as canon. Hell, for the longest time, I've seen Evil Dead part of that universe too, because it was like the Necronomicon was used to. It was heavily alluded that Pamela Voorhees used the Necronomicon to raise Jason from the dead, and even the director of the Final Friday, Jason Goes to Hell, confirmed that. So I kind of consider it all canon. And even what was it? The Rise of Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask, the Rise of Leslie Vernon, highly underrated horror movie. Basically said that Freddy, Michael, and Jason existed in the same universe. I know that movie's not canon, but I like to think it is, so I reject your reality and substitute it with my own. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Tom. Moving on now to Hunter Johnson, who asked, what would happen if Jason ended up at the Has-Been Hotel? I think it would just be kind of funny, Jason just kind of sitting there and just kind of like clenching and unclenching his fists, and even even Angel's like, I mean, I'd give him a pity fuck, but he's so fucking ugly. Anyway. Second question. Who would win in a fight between Jason and the Tall Man? I'm probably going to say the Tall Man because his powers always, like, vary, and it's almost like Eldritch in a way. That's my 2 cents. Third question. What would a Friday the 13th Courage the Cowardly Dog crossover look like? I'm going to say that I think, like, how I think it would look is that the crossover would look like that Eustace and Muriel are conned into going to Crystal Lake for the summer by some shady businessman who's actually part of a cult that worships Jason, and they want to sacrifice Jason to them. Okay, I mean them to Jason. Excuse me. That's just kind of the loose idea. Thank you for those questions, Hunter. Moving on out at Christopher Rosa, who asks, I'm curious, did you ever read the webcomic Camp Counselor Jason, which is about a version of Jason Voorhees that didn't grow up to be an undead serial killer, but still grew up to be super strong? I haven't read it religiously, but I've seen, like, bits and pieces of it everywhere. Like, I have seen it, here and there. I have legit seen, like, bits and pieces of it. I think it's cute. I really do think it's a cute story. I think it's a cute comic. And I really do like how, like, Jason's portrayed as, like, as just this almost like All Might kind of character, but he's just silent. I really thought that was cute. But yeah, I really I think it's cute. Yeah, that's all I could really say. Second question. I was wondering if you made a story about the kids that threw Jason into the lake, what would happen to them and Jason somehow meeting them again, and all grown up, how would the story go? Probably as well as you think. I think that it would probably just not end well for anybody. Like, let's be 100% honest here, honest with ourselves. This story would actually, I'm surprised that we have not gotten a we haven't gotten a story like that, or for a movie. Like, I'm shocked we never got the revenge, and that could easily be like a future story for Jason, for a future film right there, honestly. So thank you for those questions, Christopher Rosa. Moving on to Dominique Fuentes, who asks, would it be interesting to see another versus slasher movie between Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees? Everyone says Michael versus Jason. Like, everyone has said Michael versus Jason. I think power scaling wise, that's just kind of off, because Michael's just a dude. A very powerful dude, and there is some kind of, like, something darker within him, but he's not on the same level of Jason. Now, I would say probably, like, Pumpkinhead or Victor Crowley would be a better pick for the fight. That's just my thought. Second question. If you rewrote Freddy vs. Jason, what would it be like? Probably not much different from the film we got, if I'm being honest. I really do think that... I love Freddy vs. Jason. I honest to God love Freddy vs. Jason. I think it's a solid, fun movie. I think it's honestly a well put together one. I just would write better characters. I think, honestly, that is the one thing I would do better, is the characters. That's my only gripe, is that the characters all suck. But again, what do you expect from what the hell do you expect from this kind of, like, movies like this, right? Like, the characters just all, like, 90% of the time suck. So just really, the only thing I'd rewrite is better characters. Third question. Have you ever heard that they were going to do a three-way battle between Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash movie, but never happened? Oh yeah, I know. I got the comic that was meant to be the script. It's a great comic. It's one of my favorite crossovers. So yeah, I'm well aware of that crossover. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Dominique. Moving on now to Cyborg 19.99, whose first question is, what cartoons, movies, video games, and anime would you cross Friday the 13th over with? It's a really cheap move, Cyborg. And it's... anyway. Cartoons, I'd say Gravity Falls. Movies... maybe The Craft. Yeah, The Craft, just to change things up. Video games, Silent Hill, and anime, Corpse Party. Who is stronger, Roberta or Jason? Jason. Roberta has done some incredible things, but Jason has, like, survived in fucking space. So yeah. Jason kind of takes that one, if you ask me. Much as I love Roberta, Roberta from Black Lagoon, Jason kind of takes it. Alright, moving on now to Mount Vernon Kid. Chris, how you doing, brother? If Jason Voorhees was created for an iconic hero, who would you choose? A few, actually. If he was created for a comic book, if he was created for comics, my picks for one would be Swamp Thing. Right out the gate. Jason really strikes me as a Swamp Thing villain. Like, he would be perfect for, he would be like an avatar of the Rot. If you guys remember that. Yeah, an avatar of the Rot. Yeah, he just strikes me as a he's just perfect for a Swamp Thing villain. Another one would be, if we want to go to Marvel side, I'd also say Man-Thing, just kind of saying, it would be the same thing. But Swamp Thing especially. But other Marvel characters, I would say, I'd say Ghost Rider. That's an obvious pick. Maybe Doctor Strange as well. Going back to DC, I think he would be a cool villain for Constantine. Yeah, those are just, I know. But Swamp Thing just really, first and foremost, would be my first pick. Second question, what are your feelings on Miss Voorhees as the first villain? I think it's really cool, and I think the performance helps with that character. I know everyone forgets that a lot of people forget that Pamela Voorhees was the start of all of this. Like, she was the start of quite literally everything for the franchise. So to have it done started by her, and an amazing performance by her. I think she doesn't get enough credit these days as a killer. Probably because her son overshadowed her. Third question: did you like the Friday the 13th video game, and what would you have changed to make it? I think the game was fine. It did spin off like a bunch of FPS games. Again, that was part of the Dead by Daylight craze. And I really wish horror would start to get away from the Dead by Daylight copy skins. But Friday the 13th was just perfect. It was a beautiful game. I loved the references. The kills were perfect. I loved the attention to detail to all of this, to everything with that game. It was fun. That's all you can really say. It was fun. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jason. Chris. Thank you for those questions, Chris. Moving on now to Gordon Rajani, who asks, if they had to make another Jason Takes City movie, what city or country would you like to see him in and begin massacring in? I think Dallas would be a fun pick. Just have him like grab Jerry Jones and chuck him out and like have him like get impaled on a goalpost. That'd be a fun scene. L.A., you know, a lot of killers go West Coast, so L.A. I would also say maybe go further down south, or a little north to the Pine Barrens. Have him fight the Jersey Devil. That'd be cool. Remember to hydrate, boys and girls. Yeah, those are just a few ideas. Second question. Who are some of your favorite Friday the 13th victim survivors aside from Tommy Jarvis? Okay. You took Tommy, so I would say, what's her name from part 2? The child psychiatrist who like tricked Jason with using using his mother's vest, her sweater, her sweater to try to like manipulate her. She's good. Tina. Is it Tina? Why am I blanking on the name so much? From part 7, the girl with the psychic powers. She's awesome, too. So those are just to name a few. Because really, outside of Tommy, it's just those two. Anyway. Dead fuck. That's all I need to say. Third question. If you could have Jason fight a cryptid, which one would you pick? Oh, I just answered this. Kind of. The Jersey Devil. Yeah, they're both in New Jersey. Both are like mythic beings. There you go. Jason versus the Jersey Devil would be my pick. Alright, moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, what are some of your favorite kills in the series? Oh boy. The Jason X kill with the antifreeze. That's such a great kill. Of course, the sleeping bag kill. Can't go wrong with that. Oh, the machete to the face in part 3 with the guy in the wheelchair. That's such a ridiculous scene. But it's so fun too. Like, it's so much fun. I would even say the arrow through. It's not Jason's kill. But it is a cool kill with the Kevin Bacon arrow through the throat. That was perfect. Yeah. Oh, when also in part 6, when Jason folded the sheriff, folded him like a goddamn summer chair. That was also great. Second question. What comic book company and writer would you like to see tackle Friday the 13th? Well, fun fact, technically speaking, Friday the 13th title, along with Nightmare on Elm Street, are still under DC Comics. For some reason, because they did Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw, and Nightmare on Elm Street under the Wildstorm title. And even I got to talk to James Tynion in a lost interview I did for another channel, that he wanted so badly to do a Batman, like Friday the 13th or Batman Nightmare on Elm Street crossover. But rights were just so far up in the air. But if we could get but now seemingly, I do say seemingly, that the rights issue is kind of, handled in some capacity or other. I would say, Dynamite. I think Dynamite's killing it on IP comics. so I picked Dynamite Comics. They'd also be allowed to be a little more gorier. And wouldn't that be funny? Dynamite's doing Disney Comics, and they're fucking doing Friday the 13th. They're also doing Terminator right now. For writer, James Tynion would probably be my first pick. I think he's good at horror comics. So James Tynion or Ram V. He's also been pretty cool. So those are that's just my thoughts. Third question: favorite design of Jason? Part 7. Yeah, the Part 7 like rotting corpse Jason. Whenever I think Jason Voorhees, Part 7 Jason is that definitive Jason for me. Whenever I think of a Jason design, that's the first one that comes to my head with Part 7. Not Jason Lives, I meant to say New Blood. Yeah, New Blood Jason. Anyway, any of those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Bill McLaughlin, who asks, who is your favorite Jason actor? I mean, come on, guys. Kane Hodder. Like, that's an obvious one, right? Like, Kane Hodder, I think we can all agree it's Kane, right? It's Kane all day. Yeah. Who is your favorite final girl? Final girl. Well, this one is a little variant of the one Gordon asked of like Survivor. This is definitively like a girl instead of like Tina, I'd say, because again the superpowers and like she could take it to Jason. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'd pick her. Who is someone who got killed that you didn't want to get killed? Dead fuck. That's all I need to say. Yeah. So thank you for those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Nolan Unejo, who asks, what actress do you want to see be a final girl in Friday the 13th movies? I'd like to see... What's her name? Danny... She was in the Halloween movies. Why am I blanking on her name so much? She played, She also played in the Hatchet movies, too. Oh my god, why am I blanking on her name? But I'd like to see her come back for a Friday the 13th movie. Second question. If Jason was set loose in Hollywood, what creative Hollywood-style kills would you have him do? I do like the Oscar down the throat. I like that one. Definitely have him like butcher someone and have like the organs spray all over the Hollywood sign. I'd even have like a scene where like an actor's getting his handprints, like an actor or actress getting their handprints on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Jason just comes along. He's like walking down. He just grabs the person and like shoves their face in the Walk of Fame until like they drown in the concrete, and then he's just like. It leaves their permanent along with their face and their hand in it, and the face is like looks like it's screaming. Yeah, and then he's just like and walks along. I would even have like a scene with like he runs into one of those in front of the Grauman Theater they get all those people just standing around in like fake costumes asking for money for pictures. I would have a scene where, like, Jason's walking along and someone goes, hey, can I get your picture? And Jason, like, stops. They go to try to take his picture. Jason grabs the camera and, like, just smashes it into their face repeatedly. And then proceeds to just fucking, like, squish that camera through the guy's face. Or even, like, push the camera and the camera lens goes through the guy's eye and out the back of his head. These are some... I'm giving you ideas here, Hollywood. Go ahead, come on. Third question. How would you do a Jason movie where Jason enters the real world like Freddy in Wes Craven's New Nightmare? I would probably say like I think what I would probably do is maybe a film where Jason is kind of treated like an urban legend, and in the films, Jason was all like they based that urban legend off Jason, and maybe have it that the crew is like Jason's like Bigfoot in a way, and this crew goes to look for if the Jason Voorhees urban legend is true or not. That's what I got. Thank you for those questions, Nolan. Moving on now to Brittany Digger, who asks, have you read the sequel novels to Jason X? No, I haven't. I didn't even know there were sequel novels to Jason X. I was not aware. Yeah, I'll have to go track them down now. Second question, what are your thoughts on the 80s Friday the 13th TV series? Weird. Definitely, that's all I can really say is just, that was pretty weird. I really I've only seen like a handful of episodes. They used to be on a TV channel called Chiller, if you guys remember that. So, yeah, yeah, it was just, but the episodes I saw were just weird. Third question. Do you think if the production crew messed up Jason's death scene in the first movie, would they let Jack live? I think so. If they haven't messed up the Jack's death scene. Oh, I'm sorry. If you think the production crew messed up Jack's death scene in the first movie, do you think they would have let Jack live? Yeah, I think so. I think that was even like one of the regrets for the crew was fucking that up. But yeah. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much the Friday the 13th Q&A. I want to thank you guys for everyone who sent in questions for this Q&A. This was a lot of fun. If you want to be part of the next Q&A, just hit the link below, head on my Patreon, hit the first tier. And yeah, you guys have a wonderful Friday the 13th. Stay safe. No premarital sex near a haunted campground. And watch out for Jason. Yeah. So other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.